Hey, happy Friday to everybody. We got Tom Jones, my former radio partner, coming up here in just a minute from the Poynter Institute of Media Studies. It is the Buccaneers' last workout before their preseason game, final preseason game on Saturday night against the Buffalo Bills. Nobody circles the wagons. So, although they won't be circling them with Josh Allen, and for that matter, you won't see Baker Mayfield or many or any of the starters on the Buccaneers side, but still some position battles going on to determine, including, I think maybe the number 2 quarterback spot, right? You're going to see Teddy Bridgewater. You're going to see Kyle Trask, and both those guys gunning for the backup position. We don't know if they're going to keep 3 quarterbacks or just 2. Going to carry 1 on the practice squad, but a lot of spots. Obviously, some receivers fighting it out now with the injuries that they have to Jalen McMillan and Chris Godwin. A couple guys going to make this ball club, and there might be 1 or 2 left out. So that's what this last preseason game is about. It's just about determining the last few roster spots. And then as soon as it's over on Saturday and Sunday, they'll begin to release some players from this 90-man roster. So it won't be long before they'll have their 53 next week, and then they have a little bonus week, and they'll get ready for the Atlanta Falcons coming up here on the first weekend and Sunday. So that's something to look forward to for sure. Meanwhile, the Rays are playing the St. Louis Cardinals. So they'll try to bounce back from, what's just kind of been a tough couple games they had with the Yankees here just a few days ago. Hey, make sure you go see our friends at Brightling.
Hey, real quick.
Yep.
College football is back.
Oh, that's right.
It's week 0.
Week 0.
And we got a top 25 matchup to kick it off in Ireland.
We do. It's Iowa State against Kansas State.
That's correct. At noon.
And Rocco Beck, who's playing his 12th season at Iowa State. How long has Rocco Beck's been there? A while, man. I think he started as a freshman, so it seems like he's played a lot of quarterback for him.
He has. But there's actually 5 games tomorrow, so you can watch college football all day. You got noon, 4, 6:30, 7.
Yeah, 1 on the West Coast, right?
Yeah, Stanford, Hawaii.
Nice.
To wrap it up, that's a 7:30. But you got Idaho State, UNLV, Fresno State, Kansas, and Sam Houston, Western Kentucky.
I'm ready. I don't know if I'm ready to watch that many games yet. I'm kind of ready. I want to, big noon kickoff and all that over in Ireland. But
yeah. Well, 3 of them are going to be while you're at the Bucs game, so you're not going to be able to watch those.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. I probably won't.
But then it kicks off for real next weekend. Or actually Thursday night. South Florida's playing Boise State Thursday.
Yep, South Florida, Boise State. And then, the big noon, I guess, on that Saturday is Texas against Ohio State, right?
Yeah, 1 versus 2.
Huge.
Or 1 versus 3, depending which poll you're looking at.
Arch Manning. Come on, are you kidding me? Possible number 1 pick in the draft if he decides to come out. And whoever loses this game is definitely not out of the championship. There's no doubt about that with the way things go.
No, now it was expanded to 28 teams like the Big Ten one. So
yeah, exactly. So, but what a great that to me that's. Don't get me wrong. I love college football. I'll watch week 0, but I'll really watch the next week when you have that giant matchup.
College football, it's great the next week because there's no NFL that weekend.
Exactly. Yeah, you're the only game in town. There's no preseason.
Just
games.
Focus on college football weekend.
It's awesome. It's just awesome. And USF, you mentioned, are playing here coming up against Boise. Dirk Cutter coming to town, I would imagine.
Yeah, that's Thursday night.
Yeah. So no Austin Genty. He's in Las Vegas, but I'm sure Boise will be ready to go.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm ready for football, but I'm ready for real football. I'm ready for football that counts. And they count these games in college football, so we'll get to see some real live action. I'm tired of the preseason. I'm tired of training camp. We had our last training camp practice just the other day. Just glad that whole bit is over, and now I can just sit down and try to figure out what I'm writing for the next 3 weeks. But should be a lot of fun. Hey, before we get to Tom Jones, make sure you go down to Breitling Boutique International Plaza Mall. Check out the beautiful watches that they have there. The Breitling Company, man, in business over 140 years, making the best Swiss watches in the world, and they've been at International Plaza for the last 5+ years. They're known for men's watches, the Chronomats, the Navitimers, but they also have women's watches for your wife or girlfriend. Find her a nice timepiece. These are sports watches. They're durable, they're beautiful, and she can pick from any number of an array of colored wristbands. So that's something you want to do. And while supplies last, and this is important, they've been celebrating the NFL's 104th year anniversary. 32 teams in the NFL. There are 32 different team watches. Again, while supplies last, these are the Chronomat watches. They have the team colors on the face of the watch, the logo as well. You have to check them out. Go to TampaBay.com. Likely we'll see an ad for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers team watch. You got to see these watches and enjoy the customer service as well. The middle of International Plaza Mall on the second floor. It's Breitling Boutique International Plaza. Please let them know that you heard about it right here on Sports Day Tampa Bay. Here we go, back to back with Tom Jones of the Poynter Institute of Media Studies, former columnist for the Tampa Bay Times, my former radio partner as well. Tommy, twice as nice, buddy.
Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, man.
My AC's still working, which is good.
It's a good thing, yeah. It really is. How many, going back to the AC story, how many do you have in your home? Is it one or two?
See, just one. Although
just one giant unit?
Yeah, you have several, right?
I have like three, but they're not all, like half ton, 1.5. I don't know how they measure these things.
Yeah, I don't know. That's the other thing. The guy came out to the house when he came out, and he immediately starts, he talking AC to me, which I don't speak that language.
Yeah, I'm done. Yeah.
So it's basically like, you got a 475 in here? And I'm like, yeah. No, you don't have a 475. It's a P square. I'm like, what? Yeah, whatever you say, man. Like, that's the thing. He could have looked at me and said, "This is going to cost you $20,000." And I'd be like, "Okay, I guess."
What you don't realize is there was nothing wrong with your compressor, and he just sold you a new unit.
It's the same one. He went out
and
got some Windex and cleaned it up and brought it back. And
it's all ball bearings. It's all ball bearings.
It's all ball bearings these days.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know if you've heard, the Buccaneers are having their 50th year anniversary.
Yes. You wrote a book. You wrote a book about it.
I did. On my vacation at that, I did. Because I didn't have anything else to do, so I thought I'd write a book. But 50 years is a long time, It really is a long time. I mean, I've been married like 36, not to the same woman, but it counts, right? You just add them up. But so I've done about
so
3/5.
Nice. You did it twice. Yeah.
Yeah. I've done about 3/5 of, or 3/4 or so of the, I don't know how many years I've done it, but I've done it the majority of their years, right? Started in 90, whatever. And so I've seen a lot of players. I've covered a lot of players, right? And I remember Doug Williams, and I remember Leroy Selman, of course. I actually covered his Hall of Fame speech, which was one of the hottest days in the planet, by the way. Back in the day, by the way, a little segue here. So now you go to the Hall of Fame, they have it in this big stadium, right? And they used to have it at night, then it's during the day, and so on and so forth. But you got this, the if you're covering it for the media, you're up in a high school press box. It's air conditioned, it's overlooking the stadium. It's fine. When Leroy Selman went in, I kid you not, there was a table that was probably 100 yards long, and that's where they put the media. And it was probably
outside, right?
Outside,
in the sun,
way behind all the seats where the people sat. We were behind them, okay, in all these essentially a folding chair on a cart table, if you will, and they're stacked one after the other. And so if you can picture this, if you sat down, there was a writer on either side of you also in a folding chair. So to get up, you'd have to move the whole row. You know what I mean? Like, you can't
right. I get you. You're right.
Unless you're going to fall backwards, right? So you're pretty much, when you sat down, you were there for the day. Like, you were there for the day. And back then, they had no limits, no perceived limits on how long the speeches could be. And brother, I got a lot of sunburns that I rank in my life. That one was somewhere between tomato and lobster, because I was with the late Hubert Meisel. You remember Hubert, of course.
Of course.
And we I think we checked into some Howard Johnson's some damn hotel in Akron or something like that. But right before Leroy Selman, he was like one of the last ones to give his speech, which wasn't very long. But before that was Kellen Winslow Sr. And you can look this up. Like, Kellen Winslow Sr. spoke for like 42 minutes.
Oh, man.
And he started like on race relations and the country.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the content that bothered me, but the length of it was like literally almost killed me because I couldn't move. I couldn't go anywhere.
Right.
I couldn't get up. And Leroy was next, you know? And so no bias or anything, but when I covered his son, I was still mad at his dad for the speech that he gave at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Of course, Kellen Winslow Jr. had other problems, but
Sure he did.
but it was crazy. So I don't know where I was going
funny.
with it.
No, I could. It prompted a story of me, and here's a segue from your segue.
Yeah.
So, I was covering the 1998 Stanley Cup Finals. I think it was 98.
Who was in that?
The Detroit Red Wings were in it, and I'm
Okay.
not sure. It might have been 97. Whatever year it was in Detroit.
Oh, when the money was flowing, and we're covering the NHL, man.
There was two of us there. There were two of us there. It was me and Gary Shelton.
One day we'll talk about all the Super Bowls that we sent 4 people to. But yeah, go ahead.
No kidding. So it's Gary Shelton and I. Gary Shelton, sports columnist. He was the columnist at the time. I was the beat writer for the Lightning and NHL. And so we I'm in Detroit. And I think Gary was going back and forth between covering the Stanley Cup Finals and the NBA Finals. Jordan was in the NBA Finals. So it might have even
with the
been
Pistons. Wow.
Yeah. So it was Jordan, the Bulls, and I don't know who they were playing, but he was going back and forth between Chicago and Detroit. So anyway, we're in Detroit, Joe Louis Arena, which was one of my least favorite places to cover a game. Just
was
from
that downtown? Was that right downtown?
Yeah, it was downtown. It was right on the water, like right across from Windsor there. And the only thing, it was great for fans, but just from a media standpoint,
it wasn't the
arena. Best. And the press box was awful. So there were so many people covering it though. What they did was they blocked off a section in the stands,
an auxiliary press box. We would call
an auxiliary press box, and that's where most of us were sitting. I think they had the logo like Detroit and whoever Detroit was playing.
The old Ox
box. It was either New Jersey or it might have been Washington.
Remember, you get that credential and you look at it and it'd say Ox on it, AAUX, and you'd be like, ugh.
And here's the thing: you'd end up watching one period there, and then you'd watch the rest in the press room with the TVs
because off TV, right?
Yeah. Spread out. But anyway, they put us in the stands, and it was the same thing as you're talking about. You were you were in seats that fans would sit in normally.
Right.
And it had like this like wooden like
a wooden desk built
plywood
over top of it.
Desk, right. That would flip up. And so if you were in the middle and you wanted to get up, like everybody had to get up, to let you out. And you sort of had to like lift up this thing and everybody.
I likened it to being like in a Mercury space capsule or Apollo space capsule that once they put those astronauts in there, you were not moving.
You were
going to stay
never
there
getting
until
out.
they launched.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was near the end of the first period, and Gary says to me, I'm going to go downstairs. And I'm like, yeah, I'm right behind you. I'm going to watch the rest of the period. There's probably like 3 minutes left in the period. So Gary goes to get up, and it's really tight.
It's tight, yeah.
And he sort of bumps the table behind him,
Right.
And
some drinks go flying, perhaps, or
what's that?
Any drinks go flying off that shelf?
Yeah, I don't know if any drinks went flying, but things definitely, like, people had to grab stuff before they fell over. And it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't Gary's fault. It was so tight, you couldn't help it.
Yeah.
And there was a guy, I don't even remember who it was. It was a guy from from New Jersey, maybe, or somebody who covered the Rangers or the Devils or whatever. And he goes, "Hey, watch it, buddy." And Gary turns around and says, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bump the table." And the guy goes, "Well, you almost knocked over a bunch of drinks." And Gary says again, "Yeah, I apologize. These tight tables aren't really made for us, And the guy goes, "Well, geez, oh man, just be careful, man. It's like 3 times you bumped it already." And that was enough.
That was it.
Gary turned around.
I gave you two warnings.
Gary said, "Look, partner." And when Gary dropped a partner,
oh yeah, it was coming.
Goes, "Look here, partner." He goes, "I apologize twice.
Yeah.
I'll apologize one more time, but if that ain't good enough, we'll go downstairs and we'll take care of this. How's that?"
Wow.
And all of a sudden, everybody, half the people in that crowd now are going like, "Okay, guys, calm down." And the other half are like,
"Let's go.
Like, do it. Let's go." Like, because we're bored. We're in Detroit. It's game 4 and it's going to be a sweep.
So
we want to see a fight break out.
Oh
so anyway, that was, you've probably seen a couple of, over the years, maybe people, not necessarily people that we knew who were ready to throw down, but.
Oh, yeah.
It's always great when you see 2 media guys going.
You mean involving the media guys?
Yeah, like two media guys. Have you ever seen?
Oh yeah.
I think there were a couple times I've seen in press box where if somebody does, or usually around scrums of players, like
I thought you were talking
somebody's
about
trying to get
me and
in
some of our
closer.
employees. I didn't know if you were like, present company
No,
exclusive.
just like no, like super. No, have you ever got into it with anybody like where you
Wanted
thought like,
to.
oh, I might have a fight here in a minute.
Oh yeah. Came close. Only through restraint and gritted teeth,
With somebody from another paper, another.
No, our own.
All right. Yeah, that happens every day. But I'm just thinking. I'm trying to think if I remember one time I was with. There was a. I don't even know if I should be telling these stories, man, because
Why not?
well, there was a woman who covered the hockey for the LA Kings, and she was a fabulous writer and very like legendary. Helene Elliott was her name,
Okay.
and there was a we were covering the Stanley Cup Finals or an All Star game or something, and I think it might have been the Stanley Cup Finals in Tampa, the first Cup, 2004, and a guy like basically bulled his way in front of her and like bumped into her pretty hard.
Mm,
And she's like, hey, and we were all like, hey.
yeah.
And he like sort of gave a look like, screw you. I'm here to do a job.
Wow.
And he was
you.
wearing a like sort of almost like a white glossy like jacket,
Mhm.
and there were no designs on it until Helene got done with it. And she took her black magic marker and
Oh
drew
my.
photos on the back of the guys. Of course, he didn't know. He couldn't.
He was unaware.
He was unaware. I'm sure he found out later that he had a bunch of squiggly. Now she could have drawn something like bad or wrote a bad word on it if she didn't. It was just a bunch of squiggly lines. But he had it coming because she actually bumped into her really hard. So.
Wow.
Helene, if you're out there and somehow you hear this, God bless you. I was on your side.
Way to go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about this 50th year anniversary. And I was asked, and I guess you were asked to.
I was surprised.
Yeah,
Yes.
to go ahead and do sort of ranking the top 50 players of all time, right?
In Bucks history, right?
In Bucks history, yeah. So that said, I don't have to go through the whole list of 50, but there's some I might ask you about.
Yeah.
Here was my formula. First of all, I was late getting the list in, so I was like, all right, let me just see if I can name a couple here off the top of my head that I know would be, in the 50, right? Start with the
Right.
most obvious. So I said Hall of Fame players, right?
Sure.
Because, if you've made the Pro Football Hall of Fame and you were a Buccaneer, you're one of the top 50 Buccaneers, okay?
Of course.
So basically there are 5 players, right? Currently. And in no particular order, but it's like, Brooks, Sapp, Barber, Selman, Lynch. I think those are the 5.
Right.
Okay, so my criteria was, well, I got to have them in my top 5. Who's in your 5? Didn't they have a commercial about that? Charles Barkley like that. Who's in your 5?
For
so
T-Mobile.
it was like a AT&T or something. So yeah, so I said, well, in some order, I got to have those 5. And then I said, well, now who is the next most likely Hall of Famer? And that would be Mike Evans. Okay?
Right. Correct.
So now I'm at 6. All right. Is there anybody else?
So your top 6, by the way, are my top 6, but I don't know if we have them in the same order. But we can. Get
Well,
that in a
we
minute.
probably don't. But so then I said, well, who's, if not in the Hall of Fame, maybe Hall of Fame worthy, but not quite there, right? So then I listed those guys. And then you get into discussions about, all right, greatest Bucks, Tom Brady, 3 years, won a Super Bowl, got to the playoffs 3 years in a row, but only here 3 years, right?
Right.
And so on. Now, I don't know. It was interesting because after that, I was like grab bagging it. I was like, okay, who led the Buccaneers? Who's their all-time leading rusher, right? Who's their all-time leading receiver after Mike Evans, right?
Right.
And I kind of went through like, you had to be within Bucks history. If we're talking about the greatest Bucks, then I better find you in the record book somewhere. That was my next criteria, right? And then it kind of goes, and it gets harder when you start talking about guys that played in the 70s, because I'm not great with that. I know some, and some were better than others. But so I guess we could work from the top down.
The
or
other
the bottom
difficulty
up,
I had, real quick, was people who don't have stats, like linemen.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
Where do you put linemen? The offense, not so much like just defense, but offensive linemen. Like
Tristan
how do you rank
Wirfs,
those guys?
Paul Gruber was
Paul
tough for
Gruber.
me. Yeah,
Like
Tony Mayberry.
Ali Marpet, Donovan Smith. Like where do those guys?
Yeah.
Those guys could be difficult. And the other thing is like sometimes like with special, like, do you include special teams guys? Kickers, punters.
Well, there's Grammatica. There's some kickers,
Right.
I guess, that you could look at. I don't know who you'd look at, but I saw where, I don't know if it was the Bucks list or DAE's list, when somebody had Grammatica like at 50 or 49, something like that.
I'll be honest with you. I had Grammatica way higher than that.
Did you?
I had him like 41. I'm looking at my list now. I had him
Wow.
at 41. Yeah.
I may have inadvertently left them off. I'm not sure.
Well, only because I went, there. Look, I thought like the first 25 were pretty easy. Like the order, you could mix up the order, but I
would agree with that. Maybe not 25.
Then after
First
that,
20 were easy for me.
When you start getting into, that's when you start looking. When I looked at Grammatica, I'm like, all right, where does he rank on the all-time scoring list?
Yeah.
And does that matter? Like I don't know. Like kickers are gonna be high.
He's a kicker.
List,
yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
All right. So, assuming that you thought like I did, and you stacked some Hall of Famers at the top, I got one guy that's not in the Hall of Fame ahead of one guy that is.
See, I have one guy who's not in the Hall of Fame ahead of three guys who are in the Hall of Fame.
Ahead of three. Very interesting. Okay, so
I think we're both talking about Mike Evans.
Yeah, we're both talking about Mike Evans, and I thought about leapfrogging Mike Evans over more than one player, but I didn't do it. I'm not sure why, and I think if I really thought about it, I might do it. But I'll just tell you.
I can tell you right now, I have Mike Evans is number 3 on my list.
Yeah, he's 5 for me. He's 5 for me because I went chalk, sort of, at least with 4 of the top of the 5 Hall of Famers. So
I think now I'm curious. Let's see if we both have the same number 1.
Okay.
Do you want to go? You want me to go?
He's got 3 names.
Wow.
I got Leroy Selmon.
He's actually number 6 on my list.
Really?
Yeah. And okay. I have no good explanation as to why.
No, I think there's a lot of good explanations, to be honest with you. You know what my problem was? Here was my problem with someone other than Leroy. I had a tough time. This is just me.
Yeah.
But I had a tough time trying to split hairs between like a Derek Brooks or a Warren Sapp.
Okay, and those were my top 2.
Yeah. And so I guess I guess if I hadn't picked Leroy 1, I would have picked Derek, and he's a fine choice.
That's who my number 1 was. Yeah.
But then I thought, Sapp was such a dominant player at his position for so long, and Derek was Mr. Buck, obviously. But I guess I kind of wimped out. Look, the thing about Leroy, and I remember him playing, but then when I look back on it, he didn't play that long, played like 8 or 9 years. But you have to remember, like, it was in an era where he was double teamed. They ran like a 3-4. And this guy faced double teams on every single play and beat them. And he wasn't 300 pounds. He wasn't 280. You know what I mean? Right. Probably around the 260 range, maybe 250 something. Different game back then. But, man, he was just so dominant. And what he represented off the field, and the first overall pick of the draft, obviously, by the franchise. I just started thinking about Leroy and just like what he meant to those teams. And obviously Brooks and Sapp, those guys meant a lot to theirs too. But maybe it was because I couldn't decide of the other ones that played for that 02 team who was better. Does that make sense?
I think so. You mentioned a minute ago, and here's an argument that I would actually make in your favor for Leroy Selmon is we talked about they have 5 Hall of Famers right now, guys
on the same defense.
So you have Brooks, Sapp, Barber, Lynch, Selmon. They were those are all your Hall of Famers for the Bucs.
Right. 4 of them played together.
4 of those guys played together. That's right.
And that's what makes me and this was another thing I thought of. Is Derek Brooks the same player without Warren Sapp?
Yeah.
Is Ronde Barber the same player without Derek Brooks and John Lynch? Is John
Right.
Lynch the same player without Derek Brooks or Warren Sapp?
I
In
don't
other
know that
words,
the Bucks.
their success was dependent on each other.
Sure. I don't know that the Bucks win a Super Bowl without Derek Brooks, but they might.
No, I don't think they do.
Could. They're
he was
they're
the
a playoff
MVP
team.
of that year. He was the defensive MVP of that
Right.
season.
They're a playoff team still.
For sure.
If Leroy Selman's not on that 79 Bucks team, do they make it to the NFC Championship?
No.
I say
Hell
no
no.
way. So now I'm actually done. Thanks for pointing out that I screwed this up because
Well, I don't think you did. I don't think there's a bad choice. I think the argument for me was all those guys were tremendous individual players.
yes.
But I don't think any of them, I mean, this might be a big stretch, but I'm not sure any of them have the careers they have if they're not together.
right.
Does that make sense?
No,
Like,
absolutely.
I think they're all
it
great
makes sense.
players, and they all would have had great careers. I don't know that they're Hall of Fame players if they're not together.
It's interesting that I like whenever we've talked about this before when I've thought about who was the greatest Tampa Bay athlete ever. Not guys that were born here, guys who played here.
Yeah.
Who, and played like most of their careers here. So that leaves out like Brady and people like
Yeah.
that, Wade Boggs or whatever.
Yeah.
But guys who made their careers here. And to me, I've always tried to me, it's always been between two guys as the greatest Tampa Bay sports athletes ever, as of now. And to me, it's always been between Derek Brooks and Victor Hedman. I've always felt those are the two greatest Tampa Bay sports athletes. And so I think because I've always thought that when it came to, okay, name the top 50 Bucks, I naturally went to like, oh, Brooks. Brooks is because if I think Brooks is one of the greatest athletes in the history of Tampa Bay, then I think
He'd have to be one of the best Bucks. So
have to be
why?
the
I'm
best.
curious why Hedman and not say Marty St. Louis or Vinny LeCavier.
Well, first off, Victor Hedman still is here. He's played his entire career. He's gone from beginning to end. And I also think like, I think he played more minutes and controlled the game, had more of an impact on the flow of a game
Okay,
than any player in Lightning history. Like
interesting.
on all those cup teams. Now, Marty
Is that not?
goes,
I don't know if you're the outlier, but is that generally would that be the consensus if I asked other Lightning folks?
I think no, but I think if I talked long enough to him, I think I'd convince him. Like, you know what I mean? I think it's
You
like
should have
one
a
of those like,
column.
Most would say Stamkos. Most would say Stamkos.
most would say Stamkos, but I also think that they could, and when we're all said and done, it might be Kucherov.
I think it's going to be Kuch.
Yeah.
And how do you classify Vasilevsky too? That's a tough one.
But exactly, yeah, and goalies are such a different position that it's almost like comparing pitchers and hitters. But I don't know. I've always felt like
So if
Victor
we were
Hedman,
ranking the Lightning the way we rank the Bucks, you start with their Hall of Famers, right?
I mean, yeah. Now you're talking. Well,
And you would go Victor Hedman, and then who would be your second one?
I mean, I'd probably say St. Louis.
St. Louis over Stamkos.
Yeah, I think so.
Interesting. Even though he didn't play here as long.
Right.
Okay.
But he won 2 scoring titles with them. He won a MVP.
He's MVP, yeah.
Stanley Cup. But
I don't disagree. I might have had St. Louis as number 1, but I didn't have to rank them.
So you had, but going back to the Bucks, so you had, so where did you have?
Selman, and then Brooks was 2 for me.
Yeah, so I had Brooks, and then you had Sapp 3.
And then I had Sapp is 3. Now the next couple we're going to disagree on, and I'm not even sure I can back it up.
So just to be clear, I had Brooks and Sapp. I had Selman at 6, and then I had Mike Evans.
Wow.
I had Selman. I had Mike Evans at 3. So now we have to. Now the debate's going to be between the next 2 guys. Go ahead.
Interesting. You had Mike Evans at 3, and I don't know that you're wrong in this sense. He's the greatest offensive player the franchise has ever had. Not even close, right? There's not a quarterback. There's not a receiver.
Right.
There's nobody on offense, running back, that can ever even hold a candle to him. And he lapped the field, right? So I could have put him 3rd and been okay. But then I would have had to back off from Brooks or Sapp,
Right.
So I didn't do that. I went defense. I went Ronde Barber 4th.
So did I.
And the reason I had Ronde 4th was because, as much as anything, the longevity. He's a Hall of Famer, but the longevity that he had, and made the greatest play in Buccaneer history still today, the 92 yard interception return with the Eagles, against the Eagles.
Right.
So I had him
it's
4 and Evans 5.
You had Evans 5, you had Lynch 6.
I had Lynch 6, so I did split up the 4, 0-2 defenders.
And I had Lynch 5, yeah. So
we're not that different.
No.
Now after that, I bet we get some debate.
Sure, and we'll get into that in a second if you want to. But
yeah,
the thing with, and I look, I was never, I don't know, this is weird. I don't know. I have nothing personal against it. I was never as high on Lynch as other people were. And I'm probably wrong. I was never, I thought he was a borderline Hall of Famer at best. Like,
okay.
I
took
don't know,
him 7 tries.
Yeah, it took him 7 tries. And I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to get in, but I also, and it through no fault, this is unfair to him. I will completely admit this. This is unfair to him that because he played under the rules that they allowed. I don't know that he could play in today's NFL. Now, that's probably a dumb thing to say. He would adjust. He's a smart guy. He'd play, but let's face it, like a big part of his game was like wiping people out in a time when you could wipe people out in the game.
Knocked his brother cold in Chicago. You remember his brother-in-law?
Yeah.
Allred knocked him cold.
Now, like I said, if they were told him like, hey, you can't play that way, then he would have, this guy's a pretty smart guy, right?
John's heard that a lot, and I've actually talked to him about it, and he's insulted by that.
I'm sure he is.
He takes it very as you would too, but like he takes it personally. Like, wait,
and it's like I admit that it was a dumb thing. For
I
me
couldn't
to
adjust.
Yeah.
Well, you just think I would just not be able to play? Like, come on.
Of course he would. But I just, for whatever reason, even without that element, it's hard for me to say, okay, is he still?
That was his game. That was his game.
Yeah, right.
He knocked people out.
Right. But okay, so now number 7.
You get into some real debate because once you get past, say, 7 at Levante David, now you got to be looking at.
So you went with Levante at 7.
I went with Levante at 7 because I think he's the next Hall of Fame worthy player, right? Those other guys are all in the Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah.
Selman, Brooks, Sapp, Barber, Evans will be, no doubt, Lynch. And then I said, okay, who are the next Hall of Fame Buccaneers, right?
Yeah. So I went Levante 7 as well.
And I don't know that Levante will make it, but I went him 7. 8 might surprise you. 8 for me was Simeon Rice, who I think is Hall of Fame worthy, and he had a much bigger impact than anyone gives him credit for. When they won the Super Bowl, he should have been the MVP of the game. Lost by 1 vote to Dexter Jackson. But Rice averaged more than 10 sacks a year. And
see, that's an interesting pick, and I think that's a pick that somebody who really knows the Bucs and
I just watched him a lot. I just watched him all the time.
And see, and that's the way I kind of feel about Hedman. I think that's why I think.
You appreciated his game because you were there.
Who watched every game and every practice and saw him and saw the impact he had. That's why I think of Hedman so highly. And I think because I had Simeon Rice at 14 on my list.
Okay.
But yet I respect your opinion on this because you watched him a lot closer than most of us would have watched him.
Yeah. I just think that he not only got sacks, but he got the ball out. He was one of the best I've ever seen at the strip sack. And he should be in the Hall of Fame. What happens is, and you know this because how many Steelers are in there, right? But what happens is people say, well, wait a minute. Let me get this straight. Brooks, Sapp, Barber, and Lynch. That's 4 guys from one team that just won 1 Super Bowl. Exactly. If they were so great, how could they have more than 4 guys off that team in the Super Bowl or in the Hall of Fame?
Right.
And then that's what's hurting Simeon Rice. And it's not fair.
And I think it hurt Lynch for a minute.
It hurt Lynch for about 7 years because I heard the arguments. I was in the room one year as an alternate for Ira Kaufman, and I had to present Lynch real quickly. And I'm here to tell you, everybody was like, yeah, no, it was Sapp and Brooks and, Barber, but or Lynch. Lynch was before Barber, actually. But they didn't even want to give it up, to John for many, many years. And then they finally did. So when you say that and you go, wait a minute, you want a 5th guy off that team that won 1 Super Bowl?
Right.
But look at his stats and look at someone like Michael Strahan,
which is, it's weird too. Like if they had an offense at all, they probably would have won more than 1 Super Bowl.
Oh my God, yes.
And then because the Steelers had, they on their defense, those great 70s Steelers teams, they had Jack Lambert and Jack Ham and Mean Joe
Sure.
Green and L.C. Greenwood and Mel Blount, and those
Mel
guys
Blount,
all made the
yeah.
Hall. And then, but the reason they got all those guys in is because, oh, by the way, they also had Hall of Famers on the other side of the ball with Bradshaw and Franco Harris and Lynn Swann and John Stallworth, and Mike Webster.
Yeah.
Like, so if the Bucs had that,
right,
then more,
they would have won
if they
4
had that
Super
kind
Bowls
of offense,
too.
then they would have more defense.
But they were
so
great.
I'll tell you why I had it number 8. So you had Simeon.
I have Simeon Rice at 8. Yeah.
This is where I thought long and hard about it, and I went Brady at number 8.
Well, we're just the opposite. I went Rice at 8, and I went Brady at 9.
Yeah. So, yeah, I just thought.
And that might be a little late for Tom, but I mean, look, there's no of every player on this list, the greatest player, right, in NFL history is Tom Brady. I don't think there's any doubt about that, is there?
No.
7-time Super Bowl champion.
Yeah.
I mean, but for Buccaneer history,
no.
He played 3 of the 50 years. He won a Super Bowl. There's no way they win it without him. And he went to the playoffs 3 times, but it was a disaster the last year.
Right.
But I still think you got to mention him fairly high up.
Yeah,
because he did more than just he set the culture. You know what I mean?
Right. That was why I factored him in. Also, too, like, I just the Super Bowl goes a long way with me. I'm a big Super Bowl guy. That matters to me. Now, so my number 9 guy, we don't have to. We're not going to go through the whole 50 here, but
right.
My number 9 guy, I think you don't have as high as me. This is where I had number 9. I went with Mike Allstott, number 9.
Yeah, I feel bad because I might have blown that. I don't even want to tell you where I put Allstott, but I probably blew it.
So let me ask you.
I would just say this about Allstott. If we're doing the most popular Buck, he's number 1.
Yes.
If we're doing the tone setter Buck, he's top 5, right? Like, there's no better player in terms of like what he brought, the toughness, the refuse to go down. Like, I mean, there's so much you love about Mike Allstott, but if you look at his numbers, okay, he's not the leading rusher, not by close, right? Like, he made a bunch of Pro Bowls, but that was as a fullback when in fact he was a tailback. He did play fullback, but he was as much a running back as anything else. So I just felt like there were more deserving. I mean, I have Chris Godwin ranked ahead of Mike Allstott.
Wow.
He's the 2nd leading receiver in Bucks history. And
see,
he's
I have
still
Godwin
going.
pretty far down. I think Godwin, I have 23 on my list.
Really?
I'm looking at it here. Yeah.
Wow. I may have blown it.
No, I don't know. Who did you have at
9? The 2nd receiver in Bucks history?
No.
And he's still playing?
Right.
Who
did you have at 9?
They don't win a Super Bowl without him. So Doug Williams is fairly high for me. He's at 11. Probably
I got Doug Williams at 11 myself.
There you go. Okay. So I don't think.
And for 10, I got James Wilder at number 10 on my list.
Wilder's at 10 instead of Godwin.
Yeah.
I got Wilder at 13. I did Williams, Giles, and Wilder, and Richard Wood, kind of all back to back to back.
Wow, Richard Wood. Wow. Okay, I might have blown
that. That man was
a
hell of a player. Now
I might have blown that one. I got him in the 40s.
Player.
He's in the 40s for me, but
yeah,
it's
interesting.
Is Baker on your list?
Baker Mayfield is not on my list.
Really? He's in the 20s for me.
I think I blew it with Baker.
How about Harvey
And I don't
Nickerson?
know why. Again, and that's stupid for me to sit here and say that. I mean, the guy quarterbacked them, but Tom, in reality, this is his 3rd season.
Well, there's a good point. Like, it's one thing. Like,
he may end up being the top 50, but
right. But as of this moment, if he never plays another game for the Bucs,
he won one playoff game.
If he never plays another game for the Bucs, why? A year from now or 2 years from now, why feel dumb of having like Baker Mayfield ahead of like Ali Marpet or
right?
Hugh Green or some of the people that I have him ahead of.
Exactly. I mean,
I don't have him ahead of Brad Johnson. Brad Johnson's in my top 25. So
Yeah.
Super Bowl winning quarterback. Let me ask you just a couple of guys. We don't have to go through everybody.
Yeah.
Hardy Nickerson. Where you have Hardy?
19.
Yeah, I had him 13. So I thought he was a Ricky Bell's in my top 20.
I think Ricky's up there for me somewhere. I don't know if he's 20.
And let me ask you, okay, I got two other guys, and then like I said, we don't want to go through the whole list.
The whole list, yeah.
Is Gronk on your list? Rob Gronkowski.
He is not. I don't.
I have him pretty low. He's in the 40s for me.
You got.
And then
Rob
here's the
Gronkowski
one. Here's the one, man.
He played 2 seasons, right?
I get it. But
I mean, he had major impact. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, like I don't have Antonio Brown. He's not on my team, even though he had a major impact. All right, here's the one everyone's dying to know, man. Famous Jameis. Is Jameis Winston among your top 50? No.
Jameis Winston?
Jameis.
Because he's the all-time leading passer?
Yes. Jameis is on my list, man.
He is?
Number 45, Jameis Winston.
And this is based on what?
It's the numbers. Like he put up.
He's the all-time leading passer?
All-time leading passer. He probably has, after Brady, probably has like the most single season yards as well.
5,000. I think he has, he's second over 5. But that same year that he threw for 5,000, he threw 30 interceptions.
That's impressive. That's hard to do, buddy.
But like, we're talking about yards, okay? So he started 5 seasons. And again, people are going to say, oh, you're just a hater. He started 5 seasons.
I'm the Jameis hater. I tried to run him out of town from the team.
Yeah, that's what I heard. 5 seasons he started for the Bucs. And yes, because of that longevity, which, by the way, probably shouldn't have been here 5 years. But because of that longevity, he ends up with, the number 1 passing yards, which is not saying much because I think Brady was either on the doorstep or may have passed him in 3 years, right? So there's not a great track record of quarterbacks' longevity here in Tampa.
Right.
All right. But he had 1 winning season, 9-7 under Dirk Cutter. Dirk's first year. 1 out of 5. Never made the postseason. Set an NFL record for interceptions in the year that he threw 30 touchdowns and 5,000 yards. I don't think that's greatness. Now, top 50, should we start getting into players that people won't remember or don't think should be there? Yeah, I mean, in retrospect, maybe he should be there just because of where his numbers are.
I mean, it's more of a reflection on the fact that there's
not great quarterbacks here.
Maybe. Yeah, you start running out of names when you get into the 40s,
Yeah. I didn't run out of names, but nobody will like the names. Very interesting.
You know what? So you don't be curious.
I blew it. Look, I'm willing to say this, that I was kind of rushing it a little bit. I definitely missed some players.
No, I think these lists are really hard. I saw a list today. I was doing something for Pointer, and I was, I look at a bunch of different websites, and somebody had some news organization out there had like the 30 greatest television theme songs. And it's like, you're going to miss, like that's what these lists are about. You're going to miss. You're going to miss on some. You're going to hit on a couple where you're like, oh, wow, yeah, I forgot about that theme song. And in the end of the day, like there are going to be a bunch of people who are saying like, how could you leave this one out? Or how could you not include that one? And that's the same thing with lists. Like I'm sure that, like I said, you followed this team pretty closely, and it's like these lists.
Yeah, but even though I did, I might have done a bad job. I admit, I did not make it my number 1 priority.
No,
I mean,
I
had kind of a system that probably wasn't foolproof, but I kind of started with Hall of Famers, big impact guys that played a long time. Longevity mattered to me.
Here's the other thing, Rick, that you have to remember.
To me.
Like when you see this is something like when we talk about like people, this is why in a lot of ways the Hall of Fame voting is, I almost don't mind the way that the NFL does it, where somebody goes in. I know you've done it. I know Ira's done it.
You got to make a case.
You make a case, because the thing is, people who don't see somebody play every day can't appreciate.
How do you judge them?
Yeah. Right. Now, not only does that go for like, you don't realize how valuable this guy is. But there are sometimes when you're talking about a list like this where you say, I don't know that this guy belongs or that guy belongs, because you see also, not only do you see the good things that people don't necessarily notice, but you see the flaws that people don't necessarily notice.
True.
Because you're so in tune to how they're
embedded,
playing. And you report it and you talk to people. Like, that's the other thing. Like, you go in with a knowledge of, hey, I know how Dirk felt about this guy. I know how Tony Dungy felt about that guy. Because there were times, I remember writing a column a few years ago. I won't say which player it was, but I wrote a column about a Tampa Bay Rays player who people who loved, who thought this guy should play more. And I remember going to Joe Madden and saying, Joe, I'm going to write a column that says blah, 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 blah. Would I be wrong to write that? And he said, no, you're spot on. You're absolutely right. And and I didn't quote him, but it was.
But you were looking for a good measured.
Right. So there are a lot of times, like I can tell you this too. There was a few years ago, there was a Lightning player who wasn't getting the playing time that I thought he should get.
Right.
And I wrote it.
Right.
And I remember John Cooper called me into his office and said, I want to show you something. And he said, I'm going to show you tape.
Watch the defense this guy doesn't play.
Watch it exactly right. Watch this guy and the defense he doesn't play. And when you want to know why he's not playing in important games and important situations, this is the reason.
This is why, yeah.
And he even said to me, and you should have talked to me before you wrote that column. and at the end of the day, he was right. And then I had a better perspective. Now I still think he should have played more than Cooper was playing him. But so when you don't beat, my point is, don't beat yourself up, because I think
I won't. It's just that I had my own kind of mind in my mind. I had a criteria that you either made or you didn't. And again, in retrospect, should Jameis be on here? Probably. There's some players on here he's better than. But in terms of like 50 greatest, I don't know, man. Like,
here's the thing that I would have been, that I'm surprised they didn't ask. And it would have been a tough one if you had to name the best coach in Bucs history in the 50 years. Because I think you have four truly legitimate candidates in my mind. And those four are John McKay, Tony Dungy, John Gruden, and Bruce Arians.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, I think, not Cutter, not Todd Bowles yet. And then what else is there after that? Like,
yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah. Off the top of my head, it'd probably be Tony Dungy.
It would be hard. I mean, that's
and that's didn't win the
all-time argument, right? Dungy was Dungy or Gruden.
I'm not discrediting John at all, because I don't think they win it without John.
Right.
We'll never know, but John brought stuff here that they needed,
Right.
But
you also, again, I've always been like, no, Gruden coached that team. I don't care. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But you, Rick, have the perspective of like, because you've told me this, you have no idea what in rough shape this organization was before worst. Dungy showed up.
Now, granted, White's left him Sapp and Brooks, but Sapp and Brooks' rookies weren't Sapp and Brooks. They were playing out of position, didn't have production, like all of that. So, yeah, I think you win once the first time, right? They had won with McKay, and what he did was remarkable, getting them to the championship game that after 0-26. Remarkable, right? And the expansion drafts were nothing, and they got the worst of the worst and all that. So it's hard to quantify that. But like, all I know is what the 12 straight losing seasons, double 18 years without a home playoff win, like all that stuff. What he did to turn this franchise around was the biggest thing. It was such an incredibly difficult task. And he did have them on the brink of winning a Super Bowl. And the reason he was fired was they didn't feel like he could get them over the hump. And in fact, he didn't. And they brought in a guy that did, so what John did a lot of things with the personnel on the offensive side too. And he came in here, didn't know any coaches, took on the defensive staff. It was after Parcells spurned him and all that. So I think, John rightfully gets the credit for that Super Bowl. But if you're just asking me who did the best job while he was here, I think it was Tony.
It's hard to argue with that. And also, too, we saw what Tony was when He had Peyton Manning.
Yeah, he did okay when he got Peyton. When he had a quarterback, all of a sudden he was a Hall of Fame coach.
Exactly.
And that's right. I think, as Parcells used to say, you don't have to say what you are. Your career will tell you. Well, the career says he's a Hall of Fame coach. Those other guys we talked about, they're not. Now, when he was here in Tampa, he wasn't that because he didn't have Peyton Manning, right?
Right.
But he figured it out. So, anyway, this has been great, man. I don't know if people enjoyed this conversation. I did.
People
it's always
love
great
lists,
to have you
man.
on, as always, man.
They love
it's great.
lists.
Yeah, lists are big. Lists are big these days. Just look at our newspaper. We can run them all the time. So it's always fun. But it's the 50th year. You got to get out to a Bucks game, buddy. You got to come on out.
I do. I want to go.
Maybe one last road trip. Can I get you on a road trip one day?
You and I should go on the road.
You and Joe Smith. Just so people know, you and Joe Smith, you sent me a picture.
Oh, yeah.
And I still get bitter when I see it. But you went to Chicago, which is my kind of town. My wife's town, my wife's hometown. Love Chicago. And you two guys met up there and hung out and went pub crawling. What?
Basically, yeah. We went. Joe called me up. He lives in Minnesota now. And he's been down here a bunch. I went up there once, but my trip got cut short for a strange reason. But anyway, he said, "Oh, hey, we got to get together, man. We got to do a road trip." And I'm like, okay. And finally he pinned me down. It's like, take a couple of days off. Let's meet somewhere.
That's
and it was either going to be Chicago or Vegas. And
you picked the right. You picked the right city.
I mean, we were meeting up on a Tuesday and we were flying home on Thursday. So we thought that's not really long enough for Vegas.
Yeah, it's what Vegas is for. Yeah.
Plus, it's like Vegas in August. Are you kidding? It's like
7,000
degrees.
Yeah.
And so we met in Chicago. Yeah, and it was basically we went to the Cubs game, and then went to a lot of bars. Yeah.
So awesome.
And I sent you a picture of a deep dish Giorgiano's.
Oh yeah,
Giordano's or
Giordano's, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was great. I haven't had pizza since because those two
surprised
slices.
You were hungry about 72 hours later. I know that.
I was the next day. I said to Joe, I said, "Where do you want to go for lunch?" He goes, "I don't know, but we're not getting pizza." Just so you know. Yeah.
And it's always fun to kind of debate these lists and things like that. But the bottom line is it's been 50 great years of Buccaneers football, and it'll continue, of course, on Saturday with the final preseason game against the Buffalo Bills. And no one circles the wagons. And the Rays will continue their series against the St. Louis Cardinals. They're off on Saturday because of the Bills game, but then they're going to play again on Sunday. So a little bit of divided series there. Also, enjoy your college football week 0. Should be sponsored by Coke Zero, as a matter of fact. And maybe it is, for all I know. But the big noon game, of course, Iowa State playing Kansas State over in Ireland. So that's one to look forward to. But football is back and better than ever. Again, my thanks to Tom Jones. Go see our friends at Breitling Boutique International Plaza Mall. Support them. They support us. And you're going to come out there with a great timepiece that you really deserve and will love and cherish. It's Breitling Boutique International Plaza Mall. Thanks for listening. As always, for Steve Versnick, I'm Rick Stroud of the Tampa Bay Times. Have a terrific weekend, everybody.